more than acceptable on an affordable streaming service that and the odd free game that you can watch stuff on. However, George Riley obviously gets my toes curled because of the reasons why he left the BBC, and it was interesting when he was explaining there was games on the BBC that I felt a hint of hesitation. Maybe that's guilt in his voice there for running away before he could be disciplined. But anyway, and I'll say nothing more because I'm probably getting myself into trouble.
Yeah. Don't want to get sued, Mark.
I've got nothing to fucking sue, mate. But anyway, what I did think in watching this game was Tony Ray talked as much as we talk. And Tony Ray's a great summariser because he knows everything really well and pulls things out really well. But I felt there was too much of him talking about stuff in this game. Maybe I don't know.
Right.
And I'm not having a go because I really like Tony Ray and I've liked him ever since he's been on Sky's coverage in the past as well. I think maybe it's a new relationship, him and George Riley, and that's why they didn't. And I don't know what the setup was, whether they were both together at the ground or sometimes at the moment people aren't both together at grounds watching stuff. So I don't know what the setup was and the cues there. He's worked a lot better in the past when he's done it on Sky with people he's spent a bit more time around. But what I would say is if we saw this combination of people doing games every week, people would bitch and moan. I'm convinced of it now more than ever. I think we only hate the people that we see that we see for 3 games every week. Yeah, so when we see the same people all the time, we start hating them. And now we're all wanting Eddie Hemmings back. Whereas, how much shit did Eddie and Steve-O get for all the years that they were on Sky because they were all we had? Now it's the same. It's Barry and it's Brian Carney and Phil Clark and whoever who are getting all the shit. Because we see them every week, whereas all the guest people they get in for 1 week, everyone's fucking drooling over saying they're amazing. They're no better or worse than what we have. We just hate the people we see every week because familiarity
Stop being so logical,
within rugby league breeds contempt.
Stop being so logical. It's much better to hate people.
Anyway, that's nothing about this game really, and I think Tony Ray's great, and I've seen him do other games this year so far that have been fantastic coverage. So yeah. Maybe with all the errors and penalties and stuff, there was lots of time to fill where there wasn't action in this game. Hastings, people have mentioned, he was the standout for me. I think Powell, Smith and Hardacre were all good too. Basically, the class in Wigan's spine meant that Wigan could execute and take their chances, whereas York were missing parts of their spine, and their spine already wouldn't be up to the same category as Wigan. A very good defensive side Wigan as well. You've got to not forget. So it was tough for York. Having Washbrook in the halves was tough for York. As the game wore on, Wigan stopped making mistakes and did find it easier and easier to make meters. Even though we didn't score loads of tries, I think Wigan's bench forwards were good. Tony Clubb had probably more minutes continuously in this game than he had in any game last year, so that's a positive for him. Getting some fitness as well. Pleased too for the 2 young kids getting their first tries for the club. But I've got to mention, and it was pulled out by one of the fan views, the York kids, David, because Miles Harrison was near faultless at fullback, in particular in defence. In attack, York had problems, so he wasn't the problem. But for a 17-year-old kid on debut, he took everything. He was in the right place all the time. He did great. And that young Taus, also 17, I think, who came on in the second half on the wing, he came up with a try-saving tackle, a really good tackle. Like, his main moment in the game, that was it. And that'll be something he can look back on and remember and have footage of. I've seen a couple of great photographs of it as well. So I think that's fantastic. And they're both local York kids. And if York want to push their Heartland expansion agenda and idea, that's one of the ways they're going to have to do it. And so I think that's absolutely fantastic.
It's good news. I mean, I only saw the highlights of this, and so, you only really get to see the tries. From what I could see, Wigan just looked slicker, sharper, stronger, quicker in the backs in particular. Hardaker and that first try from Hardaker was very good. But it's good to hear that the York youngsters put on a good show, because you only saw the tries. You didn't really get to see much of that on the highlights. But that's positive to hear.
Yeah, and I mean, that Hardaker try was okay, but I thought that wore them down, and then they just didn't have the energy at that point.
Just not to cover a lot across the line.
Yeah, Hastings' break for the Hanley try, that was brilliant. What a dummy. We saw a few good dummies this weekend. Paul McShane's we've talked about already. Hastings was in that same... In fact, it was more extravagant, wasn't it?
It was more extravagant.
Yeah, and on that break, he could have made the goal kick, the conversion, easier for Hardaker by putting the fullback in who was supporting on his inside.
I thought the same. He put the ball outside rather than inside.
He even probably could have finished it himself, let's be honest. One-on-one, you'd back Hastings from that distance. But I think he showed a bit of good leadership here by giving the ball to young Hanley to score, because Hanley... He had a rough game, then a really good game. Then this game was a bit rough. There was a few errors. And last week, when he played so well and then dropped that chance that he got, that he had too much time to think about against Wakefield, I think giving him this chance to go and make up for that and make him feel better, I think it'll do some real good for Hanley's confidence. So I think that was really good by Hastings to do that, to take that choice. But I think the best try for Wigan was probably the Harry Smith try. There was a kick went up, young Halsall jumped up and took the kick, which was really good. And then there was a string of offloads. There was Halsall, Clark, Havard
across the corner.
Yeah, Havard and Powell then for a really good pass, and really good composure by Bibby as well at the end to get himself in the best position to make the pass that had set up the try. So I thought that was the better try, even though the Hastings dummy was extravagant and highlight reel worthy. But yeah, credit to York for battling it out when they didn't have the best side out there and putting some young kids out there who impressed, and just professional job done by Wigan otherwise, I think.
Yeah, good.
I'll take the first game on Saturday so that you get to talk about your Saints a bit more, David. So the first game on Saturday in the glorious sunshine. I'm sure there'd been some snow around as well, though, because this was this weekend and it was mental. But Salford were playing Widnes, and it was 24-4 to the Red Devils at half-time, and then a big 68-4 was the final scoreline. Scott Michalauskas was the referee. In terms of stats, Darcy Lussick, 251 metres. Seb Ikehefo, 1 try assist, 7 tackles, 201 metres. Rhys Williams, 1 try assist, 190 metres and 3 clean breaks. Andy Ackers, 1 try and 4 try assists. There was lots of other good meter makers, but I thought them 4 try assists were worthy of a note. For the losing Widnes side, not a lot jumped out off the stat sheet, but young Daniel Hill at fullback making his debut grabbed a try and had a couple of clean breaks, so I'm going to give him his mention. Just the one fan view for you to give to us, David.
Yeah, EFC78JU said, need to give credit to the Salford Red Devils for beating the worst team ever, aka Widnes Vikings. EFC is a Warrington fan, isn't he?
Yeah.
Even the former man of ours, Declan Patton, got a try, and so did the former Wigan man, Morgan Asker. But still, the 68-4 result matters for all supporters of Salford, and the team, hopefully, Widnes get relegated to better. It's obviously... you didn't give it up, fella. They're none of your business at the moment. But what did you see of this game, Mark?
Yeah, I listened to...
anything more than the highlight?
I listened to it on the radio whilst I was writing up my England piece, actually, and then caught the highlights afterwards. Yeah, it's hard to say who was the star player from Salford, because it kind of sounded like everyone had a go where they could where they had a good spell. If you look at the highlights, Jack Ormondroyd had a couple of really big highlights that stood out. Deck Patton looked really involved. He started at hooker, then moved to half back in the second half when they rested Lola here. They stood out on the highlights for me. Ackers and Seb Ikehefo, they're standouts on the stats as well. But I'm going to call out the debutants, I think, for Salford. So Morgan Escaray, he looked a lot like Morgan Escaray from what I picked up on this game. His support play down the middle is very
good, nice, bright.
Nippy, always popping up in the right position, kind of stuff. That he grabbed a couple of tries. Matty Costello grabbed 2 tries himself as well, both really well taken tries, actually, and he had a try assist too. So he had a strong debut, and Lussick made big meters. So I think it's good for Salford to be getting those performances from those debutants because it gives them competition for places. Because I think Salford need to raise their standards as a squad from the first 2 games that they've played, and doing this will do that, I think, even though it was an easy game against a team that didn't fucking want to tackle at all. It gives the squad encouragement to fight for those places in training over the next week and stuff. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, it might do. I mean, it'll be interesting to see who benefits most, Hull KR or Salford from the games they played this weekend. So Hull KR are playing, they lose, must be heartbreaking, a really tough game against a top side in Castleford, whereas Salford have rolled over, a pretty poor Widnes team. But, one, you're obviously going to get some confidence from. You've got the slickness of being able to play and score a lot of tries. Everyone's going to feel good after that game, whereas the Hull KR guys will almost undoubtedly feel quite down. But it'll be interesting to see which one of those games, which one of those teams then, takes the most out of their performance this week. Because in my view, while Salford, obviously ran a lot of tries in, I'm still more impressed by Hull KR and what they did against Castleford. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes from here.
And Salford did score lots of long-range tries, and normally we'd be talking about them as highlight reel moments, but they feel a bit cheap, didn't they? Because
they were,
and you didn't quite get the picture on the radio that they were all through just
poor tackling,
woeful
tackling,
Widnes tackling, attempts, whatever. Every try was through very straightforward tackle busts.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give the best try to Young Hill for Widnes, actually. It was a good passing move, a couple of long passes and a short pass, a nice half break, an offload from the back rower, and supporting like a good full-back should, like Escaray did for his side. Dan Hill was doing that for the Widnes side, so credit to the kid and well done to him.
Yeah, on his debut. Very good.
Shall we get to your boys?
Yes, why not? So, St Helens played Leeds and ran out in the end 26-18 winners. It was 8-6 at half-time. Ben Thaler, all 2 of him, was referee. For the winners, Iggy Passai, 6 tackle busts, 210 metres and 2 clean breaks. On another week where McShane hadn't done his magic, that might have been stat line of the week. Tommy Makinson, 2 tries, 5 tackle busts, 149 metres and 3 clean breaks. Regan Grace, 2 tries, 6 tackle busts, 138 metres and 2 clean breaks. Kyle Amor, 48 tackles, 12 marker tackles and 134 metres. Kyle's playing well for us this year. For the losing massive Leeds side, Matt Pryor, 127 metres, Luke Briscoe, 108, Jack Broadbent, 5 tackle busts and 105, Mikolai Olejki, who, by the way, I think has been called up into the England training squad today. 1 try, 41 tackles, 101 metres and 2 clean breaks. I thought he had a great game, actually, Olejki. His try was really well taken.
And I was talking about that forward spot. He's the man. He's the man who's leading, I think, in the race to grab it.
Yeah, he's only a kid, isn't he? But he's getting better every game, from what I've seen so far, anyway.
Yeah.
Will you lead off with Karsten?
Yep, he said, a game of only 2 halves, but still a good game from Leeds. Their kicking and kick chase let them down, but only the kicking was explained by the squad. Tetevano with his best Amy Winehouse impersonation, late
I
and
love
high.
This.
The Saints players will need a good recovery from this. They looked busted.